Hey there, so today I want to talk about woke comic book companies and comic book companies that, well, they interestingly don't pay their bills. Now this is about Vault Comics, and really interesting about this article is the fact that Rich Johnston, everyone's favorite ideologue, because he says he's not a journalist, so of course, going with that, he doesn't have to have integrity. Yeah, that ideologue decided because this company's woke, he was going to cut it some slack. I mean, imagine a headline like this about, say, an Alterna. If he had the chance to lambast them, what do you think that article would look like? Because I can tell you, it wouldn't look like the article we're going to look at here. Now, all of this stuff, too, it's very interesting to trace back because a couple of years ago, this company said it doesn't need your money. It said that certain people out there, certain comic consumers that have gotten tired of the same status quo BS, yeah, they are harassers. They are monsters. And they say that these folks are even in some cases criminal. It's amazing to look at these things that were quoted about comic book consumers because you never had any type of litigation against someone saying that, hey, this person has gone out and given people death threats or called their homes or tried to dox them. We haven't seen that. We've seen comic creators do that, but we haven't seen that from the consumer. And yet here you have people talking about, hey, there's a harassment of comic creators. It's reached that fever pitch. They've been subject to all of that. These behaviors frequently rise to the level of criminal misconduct, but of course they don't point them out. They say within this too, to publicly disavow, they're asking those folks out there, the individuals who engage in such behavior. We must not allow them the feeble excuse of critical freedom. These individuals are not critics. They are bullies, in some cases criminals. Their behavior is not criticism, it is abuse. We do not need and do not want their business. Now, it's interesting. They make that. And they also say if the comic industry is to thrive, then. And they talk about the then there. Now, interestingly, as I say, they tell you they don't want certain types of people's money. People that are, again, talking about professionalism or the lack thereof don't want your money. People that are talking about the low caliber products that we're seeing, again, don't want your money. Okay, that's fine. Easily settled. Now you tell me too, when you're talking about reporting people, you're talking about abuses, who's the worst? Someone stomping on the fifis because they talked about your book, or someone asking you to create a book and then not paying you, not allowing you to turn on your lights or fill up your fridge and on? Who's the perpetrator here? But when we go through this, of course, we're going to have a breakdown of some of the folks that have been involved in some of these things. And well, when you start looking at the list of folks, and then you look at a few more, you can see exactly why they get a lot of slack. Because, hey, you're talking about the woke comic crowd. And you're also talking about people that in this day and age, if you discuss their comic books, well, you're probably going to get lambasted because, again, you're not talking about comic books. You're somehow talking about qualifiers. These kind of companies, they have allowed that to permeate. And also, they pay this strange rate. They actually go out, they make media connections, and they've banked on a few things all the while. I mean, if you look at older articles about them, they actually had a comic book with Wahlberg because, like any other comic book company out there, they thought, hey, what about the intellectual property? So they made contact with a guy. They spent a lot of money, and wouldn't you know it, just like the woke comics, this too did a big belly flop and didn't work out. Now, when it did that, Wahlberg decided, hey, maybe I don't want to make a movie about something that can't sell, and well, you have a company that's pretty much drowning afterwards. So Again, this article, it's talking about, hey, we've gone out there, we've been able to go and we've been able to secure payments for creators, and they talk about different scenarios. I think some of the scenarios are actually interesting too, so I will link this because you should check it out. Then they talk about Vault Comics, a small publisher out there, and you know what? We do need indie publishers. We also, if you're out there and you want to publish your own type of comic books, feel free. I just find it very interesting that your company's policy is to pretty much go out and again lambast the wrong thinkers, the ones that criticize the wrong way, aka talk about the caliber and talk about quality of comics out there. You saying you don't want their money. Meanwhile, you can't pay the bills. That's kind of an interesting thing. So you see exactly what they talk about for the different labels there. And he starts out here, Rich Johnston, and I had heard a number of stories in recent months from a number of creators. They're either very delayed payment or complete lack of payment. Not universally certain, but enough to be concerned about. I reached out to the publisher for comment, and this is what they say. Now, I'm going to go back to that, but he says, I appreciate Vault's response and will report on people's experiences moving forward in the coming months. I'm currently speaking to a number of comic creators working for a number of comic book publishers and look to follow up on them as well. I appreciate Vault's upfront response and encourage other publishers to consider a similar stance. So when you look at that, it is going out and it is making excuses. I also think that this will possibly become a rumor mill, something that will allow striking at other people as well. I think that we might see some companies thrown under the proverbial bus because they won't do their due diligence. Here, for example, talks about, hey, I'm going to promise to keep you anonymous and I won't share your information with publishers without your express permission. I want you to contact me and basically tell me any issues you've had. But of course, you probably won't fact check them. So here's the statement that Vault gave them. In our second year of publishing, Vault fell behind on creator payments. For that, we are forever sorry. We learned from our mistakes. We've improved our payment system and payment communication with the goal of issuing payments in full and on time. Meanwhile, we've worked to rectify all outstanding billing issues. While we've lost some support of some, we've also gained even stronger support from those who stood by us as we fought our way back to paying creators on time, back to seeing our series as released regularly, back to what brought us here in the first place, to do better by everyone in the industry, from creator to retailer to reader, unless, of course, you're one of those wrong thinkers. We've emerged stronger than ever before, and all we can say is thank you to everyone who has worked with us, to everyone who has stood by us, and to everyone who has helped to keep us moving forward. Now, what's interesting about this is you have an article with no comments on it right now, too. Nobody has decided to go out and to grill this terrible company that wasn't paying creators. Also, there's social media. There's nobody out there calling for these folks' head. I'm going to find it very interesting to see, again, what comes down the pike later and see a non-woke company get this kind of treatment and see exactly what kind of response they get. Because I bet you money there would be pros out there that wouldn't only talk about rectify, but they would also talk about vilify. That's the difference here. Meanwhile, again, we have a company allowed to skate. And this company, again, who's the monster out there? The people who talk about low caliber comics, that talk about artists not going out and living up to expected potential considering the price of comics, that talk about the industry impact, or is it the companies out there that aren't paying folks? Because I keep hearing about how hard it is to make a living in comic books as is. And well, you can't make a living if people aren't giving you your money. But anyhow, you tell me what you think about this subject. Also, if you like this kind of content, please consider supporting the channel. Show sub for sure. I would appreciate that. Like what you like. Don't like videos if you don't like them, but like them if you do. And also hit that bell for notification. On top of that, leave comments. I love looking at what people have to say. I really want to know what you think on stuff, and I appreciate you. So I want to end on that saying thank you very much. I appreciate you popping in, and I'll see you again soon.